Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Givanadari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Givanadari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tirha Vanacharya. Yamuna Tirha Vanacharya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Givanadari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Givanadari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tirha Vanacharya. Yamuna Tirha Vanacharya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Prabhupada Asadhara Sadushi Shiman, His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande, Hare, all glories to the sound devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Oma Gyanatmanandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Prajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shraddha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vasakans Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trivyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 20, Bali Maharaj surrenders the universe. Text number 8. Yarat tvayam bhuje Brahman Dait yen raya ani vartivi Esham kalo Christio lokan Nayasho diga tvam bhuvi Yarat Yam bhuje Brahman Dayendra Ati Vartivi Tesham Kalo Krisya Lokan Nayasho Digatam Bhuvi. Ladies, Attended Anita Vara TV. Zoka. Zodida movie. Vaman. Kayendriya Vara TV. Sangala Vistalokan. Hitam Movie. Vaman. Yai, by whom? Iyam, in this world. Bhuje was enjoyed. Brahman, O best of the Brahmanas. Daitya Indrai, by great heroes and kings born in demoniac families. Anivartivi, by those who were determined to fight. either to lay down their lives or to win victory. Tesham, of such persons, kala, the time factor, agrasil, took away, lokan, all possessions, all objects of enjoyment, na, not, yesha, the reputation, adigatam, achieved, bhuvi, in this world. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīmad Prabhupada. O best of the Brahmanas, certainly the great demoniac kings who were never reluctant to fight enjoyed this world. But in due course of time, everything they had was taken away, except their reputation, by which they continue to exist. In other words, one should try to achieve a good reputation instead of anything else. Purport. In this regard, Chanakya Pandit, Chanakya Sloka 34, also says, Ayusha Shana Ekopi Alabdya Swarna Kotibi. The duration of one's life is extremely short. But if in that short lifetime one can do something that enhances his good reputation, that may continue to exist for many millions of years. Bali Maharaj therefore decided not to follow his spiritual master's instruction that he deny his promise to Vamanadev. Instead, he decided to give the land according to the promise, and he everlastingly celebrated as one of the 12 Mahajans, Bali Bir Vyasiki Vayam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskyadyade Sadarna. Bali Maharaj is preaching the way demons usually preach, because he's preaching to another demon. And demons have, more or less, they're very enthusiastic about illusion. So this idea that you should sacrifice your life for a good reputation is just completely ridiculous. Because your name may live on, but where are you going to be? Just like every year they honor Napoleon. They have a big statue in the middle of Paris of Napoleon, and every year on the anniversary of Napoleon's Vyaspuj, or Puja, they go up and scrape off all the bird stool that has been collected on his head for the last year, and then they offer something to him, do a little ceremony. The birds go away, and then the next day the birds come back and give their offering again. So the question is, where is Napoleon? As far as we can understand, he might be one of those birds making the offering. What is the value of having a reputation? Now, Jarasandha was convinced by Krishna when Krishna and Bhima and Arjuna went to beg charity for a fight against Jarasandha. So Krishna pointed out different personalities like Shibi and Dadichi and others who had offered their lives. There's Ranti Devi especially, who had given in charity the food that he had, although he was about to leave his body, doing to fasting. But still, when the demigods came in different forms and begged charity from him. Still, he generously offered whatever food and water he had to them. And he got fame, because we're talking about him now. Now, where Ranti Devi is, we don't know. He's probably back in the spiritual world. But what is the value of a reputation? It's just a name. Does anyone... There's no benefit from such a reputation. Prabhupada gives the example of Mahatma Gandhi. He was so well known in India that everywhere he went they chanted Jai Gandhi. But the poor man outside of his house, in the middle of the night, people were screaming Jai Gandhi, so he couldn't even go to sleep. The value of his reputation is he developed insomnia. Therefore, anyone who thinks that this is a valuable asset, one's good reputation in the material world, at least it may be necessary for a preacher so people have confidence in what he's saying. But in terms of after you leave this body, what is the value of the reputation for your body? Therefore, the only reputation that's valuable is a reputation of an actual devotee, especially a pure devotee. Because a pure devotee, just like Srila Prabhupada, if you chant his name, then he's present, just like Krishna is present. Therefore, if people are favorable, then they get the benefit. Just like we chant the names of the Goswamis and the Panchatattva and Radha and Krishna and their associates, because they're actually we're benefiting from doing that. It's not that when I chant the name of Radha and Krishna, Tapta Kanchana Gaurange, or Hey Krishna Karnasan, then they're rolling over in ecstasy in Goloka Vrindavan. They may notice, but it's not exactly the most important thing of their day. But still, because they have a reputation, a good reputation, because their fame, may your fame be spread all over the three worlds. We sing that in the morning, because it's for the benefit of the three worlds and the people who are chanting the glories of these devotees and the glories of the Supreme Lord. Other than that, they're not necessary to have a big reputation, life after life, because they're in a completely different realm. Therefore, one of the material opulences, as Queen Kunti said, just like the Pandavas, what was their reputation? Part of their reputation, she said, Vishan Mahagne Purushara Darshanat. That you've saved us from the Vishan Mahagne. Vishan means poison. So they attempted to poison Bhima, the Kauravas. And then they couldn't kill Bhima, so they tried to put their house on fire. Mahagne, Purushara. And then waiting for them when they escaped was a Rakshasa ready to eat them. So they had a reputation, like Prahlad Maharaj, of one problem after another. But for Queen Kunti, that wasn't a problem. Vipadak Shantu Taksha Svat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavata Darshanam Yasyat Apuna Bhavadarsanam. So they don't mind having a reputation of always being put into trouble. And as a matter of fact, sometimes after the Battle of Kurukshetra, Yudhisthira Maharaj would try to create a false flag. You know what a false flag is? False flag is like you create an incident and then you blame it on someone else. So they try to create false flags, problems in their kingdom, so that Krishna would come and save them. They appreciated more when they were in difficulty, because then Krishna, as Queen Kunti said, I wish that we can see these calamities again and again, so that we can see you again and again, because by seeing you, there'll be no more seeing a repeated birth and death. So she didn't mind problems if they took shelter of Krishna, and therefore they became more and more advanced in Krishna consciousness. What she did mind is Janmaishvarya, Shuddha Shribir, Edamanak Madak Puman, Naivahat Yavadatum Vai, Tvam Akinchana Gochara. She had a problem with material gain. Not exactly material gain, she had a problem with the desire to get material gain. Such as Janma. Janma means high birth. Or nowadays, if you become a permanent resident of Australia, then you're considered to be, you've been elevated in your birth. You've come to the sacred land, milk and honey, the promised land. So Aishvarya, and even more than that, if you have money, it doesn't matter where you are. Because Prahlad Maharaj has confirmed in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam that money is sweeter than honey. That the professional soldier, the thief, and the businessman, they'll risk their very dear lives to get money. So opulence, Aishvarya, Janmaishvarya, Shruta, so learning, go to university, learn that black is actually white, and white is actually black. Write your PhD thesis on that. Publish a book. Open the pages, there's nothing in the book, because that's your final stage. That's your final stage. Statement on the truth. There was actually a famous so-called spiritualist, I think one of the last books he wrote, I saw it in an esoteric bookstore. When I was doing a program there, I saw one of the books, I wanted to see what it would be in it. Opened it up, it was just blank pages. His final realization, what he understood nothing. Some people get a reputation for nothing, because after all, that's what they're talking about, is nothing. Prabhupada said they'll spend 3 hours talking about nothing. Therefore, Janma, Aishvarya, Shruta, so-called knowledge, Shribi, and personal beauty or influence. Reputation also can be included in that. Oh, you're such a wonderful person. And then 5 years later, a century later, you find out the guy was a complete rascal. Like in America, they're tearing down the statues of all these famous people in America because they found out they were complete scoundrels and rascals. The only thing that they had false reputations. Even there are holidays like Thanksgiving. The only thing they gave thanks to was God for their ability to exploit the natives and kill them off. That's what they gave thanks to. My dear God, thank you for supplying the bullets so we can kill off all these natives and steal their land. You're so kind. That's Thanksgiving. You heard of Thanksgiving? Where they slaughtered the turkeys. Everyone's giving thanks except for the poor turkey. There's a picture that one religious organization has of what it's like to be in heaven. That you're there, your wife is there, their children are there, your grandparents are there, they're old. Your mother and father are there, they're all old except for you. Your children are all there, they're all young, in heaven. And everyone's happy because Jesus Christ is at the head of the table. The only one who's unhappy is the turkey because he has a knife in his back. Doesn't seem like heaven to him. So this idea of reputation is actually not very good. If one is attached to his reputation, then what will happen? he'll have to come back as a ghost. During his lifetime, no one appreciated him. No one gave him any attention. And after death, a few people came and cried at his grave. That why didn't he give me my share of the inheritance? He doesn't know why they're crying. But as a ghost, he's attached, so he hovers around there. Oh, finally someone loves me, appreciates me. So what is the value of a good reputation? You're trying to enjoy it as the ghost. You're so attached to your former existence, you won't give it up. You'll live in your broken down house for centuries, just hovering around, watching everyone eat except for you. Therefore, this is Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. When you're preaching to a demon, as Prabhupada said, when you're preaching to a cheater, then you also have to sometimes cheat. So the next verse. Oh, where are we? Text 21. What's that? 9. Oh, sorry. Text 9. Translation. O best of the Brahmanas, many men have laid down their lives on the battlefield, being unafraid of fighting, but rarely has one gotten the chance to give his accumulated wealth faithfully to a saintly person who creates holy places. Purport. Many Kshatriyas have laid down their lives on the battlefield for their nations, but hardly a person can be found who has given up all his property and has accumulated wealth in charity to a person worthy of the gift. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 17:20, Daitavyam iti yaddanam diyate nupakarine deshe kale chapatre cha taddanam satvikam sritam. The gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectation of return is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. Thus charity given in the proper place is called sattvika. And above this charity and goodness is transcendental charity, in which everything is sacrificed for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vamana Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, had come to Bali Maharaj for alms. How could one get such an opportunity to give charity? Therefore Bali Maharaj decided, without hesitation, to give the Lord whatever he wanted. One may get various opportunities to lay down his life on the battlefield, but such an opportunity as this is hardly ever obtained. It is said that if you give charity in the material world, there's different, according to who you're giving the charity, you get just different reactions, you get different results. If you give charity in the mode of ignorance, you go to hell. If you give charity in the mode of passion, then you get some return, depending who you give it to. If you give it to a qualified Brahmin, you get so many percentage in return. You give it to a completely pure Brahmin, then you get unlimited return. But if you give it to a devotee, a real devotee, a pure devotee, then you get pure devotional service. Therefore, one should be aware that it's not only charity or fighting on a battlefield who you're laying down your life for, but it's also what we're doing, why we're doing something, who we're doing it for. Everyone is working for someone. Everyone is following someone's instructions. Just like one so-called spiritual teacher said that everyone is God. So if everyone is God, what do we have to listen to you for? If we're God, what's the value you're telling us? You think we didn't know it? It takes you to tell us we're God? If we were actually God? But the same person, he said, he wrote in one of his books, don't read books. So I should get my money back. I bought his book, I found out I shouldn't read books, so now I'm getting a refund for my book that I bought from him. And I have to tell everyone, don't read his book, because that's what he's advising. We shouldn't read it. So this is all foolishness. In other words, we should know who we're dealing with. If we're going to sacrifice our energy, because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that sacrifice, charity, and penance have to be performed because they purify even the great souls. So everyone has to give some charity. Everyone is giving at least their energy. Everyone is making sacrifice, giving their energy. And everyone is doing some penance. Just to sit in this class and listen to the lecture is a penance. Therefore, we have to say a joke or two just to keep people awake. So everyone, the question is, where do we find out who to sacrifice our energy for? Now, from the very introduction in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada cautions us that we're not going to know exactly who to sacrifice our energy to, because we're in ignorance. If we weren't in ignorance, we wouldn't have to be performing sadhana bhakti. If everyone was God, everyone was enlightened, everyone was a pure devotee, then we didn't need Krishna to come and deliver us. We wouldn't need his incarnations to come. We wouldn't need the pure devotees to instruct us, because we know everything, but we don't know anything. We don't even know who we are. So why are we here? Did we just wander off the street? We said, well, that looks like an interesting place. I'll just open up the door and see who's there. Wow, all these people are sitting down. I think I'll do that too. Now, why are we here? Because we have some experience, some faith, something in someone that we wound up sitting here. So Prabhupada was asked by one American lady, could he recommend an edition of the Bhagavad Gita in English? And Prabhupada said, no, I can't recommend, because all of them, they've not touched on the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita. The spiritual spirit of the Bhagavad Gita is that Krishna is saying that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, that's a big position to take. It means, according to the authorities, you have to have unlimited wealth, unlimited beauty, unlimited strength, unlimited knowledge, unlimited fame, and unlimited renunciation. Now the question is, throughout the whole day, everything we're doing is Krishna in our heart, and we're doing it to please him? Anyone could say that? That the only reason why I do anything, or say anything, or think of anything, is just because Krishna is my heart and I want to please him. He's the object of my love, he's the goal of my love, he's etc. No, that would be quite advanced. Because we don't even know, who here knows, has anyone spoken to Krishna today? Or maybe we've spoken to him. Did he ever answer it? Did he speak back? As one devotee said, last night I had a dream and Krishna wanted me to become an Acharya. And another devotee said, I had a dream and Krishna came to me also. And he said, I should tell you that the Krishna that came in your dream was not really Krishna. So what do we actually know? What has Krishna actually told us? Of course, Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita, and we can hear from him in Bhagavad Gita, and those who are repeating the same message, we can hear from them. But we don't even know we don't know we're not this body. Not only we don't know who we are, we're thinking ourselves to be something we're not. Therefore, everything we do, not only in Krishna consciousness, but everything we do in a conditioned life is all based upon faith. And everyone is trying to build our faith. When you open a newspaper or a magazine and there's an advertisement for a new computer or for a toothbrush or whatever. They're trying to build our faith in this particular product. So we can go, why? Not out of love for us, out of our welfare. No, it's out of, they want to sell it to us to make a profit. But the product may be good, and people, they give their testimony. I brushed my teeth. They were shining like a star. I smiled at this lady, and she fell at my feet. That's my personal testimony. I think you should buy two toothbrushes, and in case one doesn't work, get a spare. No, everyone is trying to build our faith in something. Everyone is an authority, on the basis of some authority, someone's experience. I put this, I put this cream on my head, and all my hair grew back. Something, this is my personal experience, trust me. So everyone's trying to build up trust and faith, more or less based upon people's practical experience. But here Krishna is trying to fit in a big position, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is not an ordinary position. Therefore it is said that because we're in ignorance, how do we know if Krishna is God? Therefore two things. One is Prabhupada said, if you want to take a medicine, you have to follow the label on the bottle and the directions of a physician. So who are our physicians and what is our prescription? The prescription is there in the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literature. And our doctors are the Acharyas. Now, Krishna says he's God in the Bhagavad Gita in all places. Matak parataram nanyat. Everything is resting on Krishna. And the Acharyas, like by Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Jiva Goswami, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, they all affirm Krishna is God. The scriptures say he's God, but we don't know if he's God. We don't even know who these Acharyas are. So, it is said that that these personalities affirm it, and their message is coming down in parampara. Now, out of all the opulences that Krishna has, the only opulence probably that we can perceive, of course we see the deities, they look so beautiful all the time here, but I haven't seen anyone fall down in ecstasy so far. Roll over on the ground. Of course we can do that as a yoga exercise, but better off to do it upstairs where there's more room. So they're beautiful, but I don't see them as unlimitedly beautiful. So, nor do I know that Krishna's unlimitedly strong. I can give Radha, maybe Gauranga Mahaprabhu or Nityananda, I put my hand out and we said, let's have a match, see who's stronger. We're not going to be able to perceive that so easily. But knowledge is something that everyone can perceive. Therefore Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, and the devotees in disciple succession, they repeat the same message and write their commentaries, more or less all based upon Bhagavad Gita and the other devotees who have realized that Krishna is God, which is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and that we're his servants. So that we can follow the instructions and we can get some experience by doing that. Therefore, and that parampara is there because they say exactly what Krishna said. Not, as Prabhupada always pointed out, that one vice president in India, he wrote a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, and he said, it is not to Krishna that you should surrender, but to the unborn within Krishna. So when I joined the movement, we didn't have a Bhagavad Gita. all we had was one line from the Bhagavad Gita. And we didn't even have the Sanskrit. We didn't have the commentary. We only had the translation. And Burjan, who you all know, who was the only one giving Bhagavad Gita class 3 times a week at the University of Buffalo, and I was one of his few students. So 3 times a week for 3, 4 months, 5 months, all I heard was, the embodied soul is continually passing in the body from boyhood to youth to old age. Because Prabhupada forbade us from reading his commentary. Because in his commentary, he said that it's not to Krishna we should surrender to, but to the unborn within Krishna. So Prabhupada, when he first gave lectures, that's what he lectured on, these Mayavadis. How they were all rascals. And Brahmananda Prabhu gives his commentary in one interview. He said, we were sitting in the audience and Prabhupada kept on talking about the Mayavadis. So we thought maybe he had a fight with these people in India. He came over to the West. His mind was so disturbed by the fighting. That's all he talked about was defeating these Mayavadis. And then one day he was sitting in class, he realized who the Mayavadis were. It was all the people sitting in class. So, this knowledge actually comes in disciple succession. And if we, as Prabhupada said, when he was leaving, even his godbrothers, he said, when Prabhupada in 1967, when he was going back to India due to health reasons, and they were wondering who will take over the movement. After all, the eldest devotee in the society at that time, the senior devotee, may have been in the movement for like 5 months or something. He was considered to be, an ancient devotee. So they said, Prabhupada, who will take over? If you don't come back, who's going to take over? Maybe we should ask one of your godbrothers to come. And Prabhupada said no, and then Prabhupada became very emotional and said, no, if they change even one word from what I've said, there'll be confusion. So what to speak of Krishna, he's supposed to know everything. Now we may not know if Krishna knows everything, but why read Bhagavad Gita if we don't theoretically at least accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Then we're just wasting our time. Better to pick up a nursery rhyme, a book on, Little Red Riding Hood or something. At least you'll have faith that at least you'll know that this is just a fairy tale. So when the wolf eats the Little Red Riding Hood, you won't get upset, because you'll know it was a fairy tale and not its true history. So if we think that this is just a history, there was so-called, as one commentator writes, that Bhagavad Gita was just a conversation between a doctor and his patients. So, not what Krishna says, not the Siddhanta, not the conclusion, not the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. You just created something out of one's imagination. Then it's a waste of time. And when one changes even one word, then there'll be confusion if we read Bhagavad Gita. Of course, the essence of Bhagavad Gita won't be lost, because if we assimilate the knowledge, we'll be able to pick out what's consistent, what's not consistent, what actually convinces us, what is the process that we can follow to realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not just theoretically accept Him, but a process by which we can follow. But unless we theoretically accept Krishna as God, then why will we follow it properly? And unless we accept someone in disciple succession, such as Srila Prabhupada, who's repeating the exact same message of Krishna, then it's just simply a waste of time. So at least on faith, we have to accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that Prabhupada has faithfully delivered the same message in disciple succession, with complete knowledge and realization of what Krishna was trying to point out in Bhagavad Gita. He hasn't changed anything. He hasn't pointed out the parts that he liked, and he's neglecting or forgetting about the parts that he doesn't like. He's presenting the Bhagavad Gita as it is. At least theoretically, we have to accept that and then apply it within our lives. Otherwise, we're wasting our time. So, if we are convinced like that, then we have to put Prabhupada within our heart. And how to do that? Because we have to accept, well, not only Prabhupada, but the Acharyas and Krishna, the Acharyas, the six Goswamis, the Panchatattva, Krishna. Then we have to accept, and how do we do that? Well, we accept that for Krishna, that everything here belongs to him. And that Prabhupada is teaching us how to utilize everything in Krishna's service. We have to accept that Krishna is the Supreme Person within our heart, and he's giving us the message of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and repeats it within our heart. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we're actually hearing from him. And that Prabhupada is giving us the same message. He's the perfect representative of Krishna. And therefore we have to do something to please Krishna, but in order to do that we have to do something to please, to satisfy, to follow Prabhupada's instructions. Because he's the recognized Founder-Acharya within our society. If not Acharya, that he's the Founder-Acharya. And when we put Prabhupada in our heart, then the Acharyas will also appear within our heart, because within Prabhupada's heart are the Acharyas. And within their hearts are the six Goswamis, and the Panchatattva, and Krishna's associates, and Krishna and his associates in Goloka Vrindavan. The whole spiritual world is there. And then that's the best charity. That's the best sacrifice. That's the best penance. And if we don't do that, then who do we actually think is on the same level as Prabhupada? Now, if we put one of Prabhupada's representatives who bring us to Prabhupada, then that's also valuable. If one is actually repeating the same message with some realization and developing our faith in Prabhupada and the Acharyas and Krishna, then that will also give us the same effect. That if you want to plug into the electricity, you have to find the socket. And you just plug it anywhere. Instead of going to the socket, you plug it into, the faucet. Maybe that will work. Save money. Why spend money on electricity? Well, put it into the faucet and just turn the water. Water's cheaper. Maybe the energy will flow through. No, you won't get any value. You'll just destroy your whatever you're plugging in. So we have to know where the socket is and where to plug it in. And if someone tells us where to plug it in, where the socket is, they're also giving us an opportunity to join in the energy, and in this case, the disciples become connected with the disciple succession. Why? Because they're following the disciple succession. And therefore they tell us where to plug in, so we can also follow the disciple succession and get the full energy. And if they claim that they're the disciple succession, they're the energy source, then they're rascals. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, when he was traveling through India, there are so many reputed persons within India, great sadhus and incarnations, whatever. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada used to ask them, "Who's your spiritual master?" "Oh no, I just wandering around, I got enlightened." Then they understood that these people are rascals. They have no spiritual authority whatsoever. And if we can't trace our disciple succession back to Krishna or one of his actual incarnations, then we're simply connecting to nothing of any value. So whatever we're doing, although we may believe that it's valuable, but the real value is when we actually do it with devotion, under the instructions of the bona fide representatives of Krishna, and those who connect us with the bona fide representatives. Then it has some value for spiritual life. Otherwise, we'll progress or digress, whatever by following so many other personalities in this world, because we have millions of authorities going through our brain all the time. And if it's not going through our brain, then we turn on to television or the radio or the newspaper or the internet, and there'll be so many people telling us what reality is and how to accomplish whatever goals that they think we should accomplish. And on the other hand, if we just concentrate as much as possible on the directions of our acharyas, then the result is that we'll become connected with Krishna, and we'll get the unlimited transcendental benefit. And we'll actually wake up, we'll realize who we actually are and who everyone else is, and our lives will become extremely valuable for ourselves and for everyone else. Otherwise, shrama eva hi kevalam. Practically everyone who's not connected with the acharyas or those who are connected with the incarnations of Krishna, they're just wasting their time in repeated birth and death. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? You notice, actually it's 66. That's because of the Pradharma. Everything becomes very silent when you ask for questions. Okay, thank you very much. Grantharaj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.